What's good, y'all? It's your boy Zens back on the channel. Hope you guys are doing all right. Today we're gonna actually be breaking down a beat I made not too long ago, and I'm gonna be kind of showing you guys how to add proper counter melodies, if that makes sense, and make them sort of compelling. It's gonna be focusing more on like dark samples. Also, we're gonna be going into some drum bounds and some arrangement techniques and stuff like that. So if you guys are cool with that, make sure you hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe to the TBG channel, and let's get it. Today we're gonna actually be using one of the samples from the Trench Pack Leaks, which came out like last week. I picked up this Damage sample by Koala Danny, and it's hard. Okay, so the first thing I immediately noticed when I dragged this in and started trying to cook up with it, that it's kind of offbeat on some parts. It kind of drags off time just a little bit. So the first thing I actually did was I chopped it a little bit, put it on time, and I just added like little chops here and there for variation and stuff. So if we zoom in, when the sample actually starts, it starts a little bit late. It kind of fades in. So that's probably why it's a little bit off grid. So just to fix that, you can use shift and then the scroll wheel, and you can scroll forward and backwards with the scroll wheel. And it's pretty much what fixed the whole off-grid thing. I just did little chops where I could. So I believe I did one here. There's kind of like a high-pitched note there, so I just cut that part, and I probably just did like this, something like that. And yeah, I probably repeated it a little bit. So that's another Control B, and then yeah, something like this. And I kind of repeated that chopping pattern, doing the same thing but just in a different position in the sample. So yeah, that's like the basic gist of the sample. So yeah, we have some simple EQs going on, and then we just have the sound shifter to pitch it to the key that I wanted it in. I do that a lot when the 808 is too low and it's too muddy. So you either bring it up or you bring it down, so you can bring the 808 up or down to make sure it's not too muddy. I definitely noticed that it was real empty. Like it's just like the chords in the beginning. It's kind of just this pad going on for the rest of the bar. So gotta fill that up with some counter melodies. So with the Trench Pack Leaks that we dropped last week, it actually comes with instrument shots, and I use one of the instrument shots here. It's the Therme one. It's a little too dry, so put a little reverb on there and a little bit of delay. It's already super dark just from the one shot alone, so putting that reverb on there kind of just accentuated that vibe. Then we kind of moved on to like the second part of the counter melody, where I further processed it, bounced it out, added some more effects, and I made a few versions of this. I have like a wet version where it's like a lot of reverb on there, so it could be in the background, and then I have a dry version that's going to play during the verse. So we got some Portal on here, which is on the Sweet preset. This is from Pilgrim's Memories Portal Bank. Got a little bit of Thermal on here, and I got it on the Helicopter Blades preset. Add like some more distortion to it, get it a little bit more gritty sounding. This is from the Illusions Portal Bank. Next we got a Grosbeat preset that's from pretty old Grosbeat Bank, and one of my favorite things to do sometimes is just add in like a Grosbeat, like a really glitchy type of Grosbeat preset on there to try to change like the texture of it a little bit. So I got it on this Mafia preset, and this is from eTrue's Glitch Bank. Pretty old, probably not even out anymore. I got this a while ago. This kind of effectively changed like the pitch too, so put it out of key, so I had to put it back in key with Sound Shifter. Next we have another Grosbeat preset. This one didn't change the key of it. It kind of just reverses it, fades it out towards the end with some like glitchy sound effects and stuff like that. After that, it kind of added too many clicks and pops in there, so I EQ'd it. It had a little bit of reverb on there and just some delay. And that's how it's sounding, pretty dry. It has a little bit of reverb on it. I have a second version that's pitched up and has reverb on it. For like the second part of the verse, I have like the dry version but just pitched up. For the intro, I kind of wanted something a little different, so I went ahead and chopped like the wet version up a little bit to make it a little bit more noticeable. So counter melodies, you can really just take any part that sounds good to you and kind of repeat it instead of just using the whole counter melody. So the melody kind of kicks up at the second bar, so we can just keep those second bar parts in and just cut everything else out. So you can just cut these with the little cut tool. I'm assuming it repeats like that every time, so you can just keep it like that. Cut this beginning part out because it's too quiet anyway, and when you're cutting stuff, you want to keep it on like generic or something so it doesn't click too much. Then we can put this at the beginning, like something like this will work. So as you can see, it could kind of build up like that, and then we can obviously rearrange it, like put this one here and then one right here, stuff like that, just for like variation. So it's not super stagnant the whole time. And yeah, I did make another version of the counter melody, which is just pitched up and it has a side chaining effect on it. I thought it was too much, so I kind of just took most of this out, and once again I kind of just kept the noticeable part of the sample in there. So little other melodic things I ended up adding later. I added this string shot, just sort of like a riser. With the trench pack leaks and the trench pack that's actually coming out, the full version on Friday, they of course come with these melodies and instrument shots, but with the melodies, they come with stems. You can just go in there, take certain things out of the stems and change them up and completely change like the sound of them from what it was in the sample. So for the most part, I left the sample the same, but I did like the piano chords that happened towards this second bar here. I cut them out and I pitched them up and pitched them down on certain parts. So from there, it's time to cook up. So I laid drums down. With the drums, we're actually using the slat trap drum kit that's going to be coming out with the trench pack, and it's hard. I actually designed all of the drums in here, so hopefully you guys enjoy them. I worked really hard on like designing them and making sure they were still usable and stuff. So yeah, it's a bunch of dope sounds in here. Hard kicks, super hard 808s, a little bit different, a little bit unique, you know. And then you got your, you know, classic claps and stuff like that. So this is the sort of bounce we had going on. As you can hear, placement ready, super simple. The hi-hat's going a little crazy, but that's pretty much it. So immediately you kind of notice that it's just repeating. Now let's go ahead and change this around a little bit. So the first thing I ended up doing was taking out the second bar here pretty much each time. From there, those little silent parts, I introduced the second 808. So as you can see here, I have like another 808, which is also from the kit. This one's hard too, but it's more of like a softer, sort of like glitchy type of 808. So I wanted that to be on its own. Don't have to go too crazy with those. I cut out the regular 808, introduced the second one, and then vice versa. I can see here, I kind of put it on this second part here. So we can either keep the second 808 in or leave out the first one. So probably take this one out again and have it like that. So as you can hear, it kind of adds like a little bit of a different bounce, and I kind of did that throughout the whole thing and changed it around a little bit, making it unique, changing the notes around, have a little bit of different bounce on some parts. So later on, I ended up adding percussion, added this percussion loop that's also going to be included in the full version of the trench pack, and the rest of the percussion is from the slide drum kit. So yeah, that little perk that you hear in here is this little Audemars thing, and I just pitched it to the right key. And other little things I ended up adding later was this sort of reverse open hat. That only happens ever so often. I didn't want to go too crazy with that, and I kept it pretty low in volume, sort of like a background element. I have this really low frequency hi-hat, and if I zoom in here, I have like little stutters that I did too. So after that, I kind of went in and chopped these up and made sure they're only in there on certain parts so they don't take up too much of the space. So for this one, I just cut these up like this. And usually I don't even need the rest of the percussion loop a lot of times. It's really just repeating. So you only need the really like first 4 bars of it. You could just take everything else off. Same thing for the other one. We just cut this up, take it off, and then we just kind of scatter it through the pattern instead of having it happen or play through like the whole bar, because it's just a little too much going on, you know what I mean? So we could drag this to this end, we could drag this to here. I think this actually sounds pretty good hitting on like the 1, so we'll keep that here. But since this one is hitting on the 1, we could take this one off and move these around and just have them hitting in different areas so they're not playing at the same time, so it's not super cluttered. So we could cut that off, put this over here, cut that out, cut this out too, and then that's a whole pocket for this. So as you can hear, the percussion loops still play a vital part in like the bounce, but it's much more subtle. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the drums. The last thing you can do to sort of enhance your drops is add effects. Like I've said before in previous videos, I do have effects in this slide drum kit. Actually, real simple stuff just to sort of fade and transition into like drops and stuff, or pre-hooks, stuff like that. So I have this one here, just super simple, nothing crazy, and then I have this second one that's a little bit lower. So yeah, that one's a bit darker and they both stack on top of each other, and then I properly kind of leveled them, and that goes along with the reverse kick actually. So, and I think the most notable thing I did with the drums is probably the snare rolls and delaying the clap a little bit. So the clap would usually be right here. Instead of hitting in like the normal way, you kind of delay it a little bit. And as you can hear, I delayed this clap and I took the clap out completely on the last bar. So you don't want to do that too often. This kind of just example purposes, once again, just to show you guys what things you can do, all of like the options you have. As you can hear, it kind of adds like a whole different bounce to it when you delay the clap. Last thing I'll go over is the hi-hats. I think they stand out a lot in this beat. So let's just hear how they sounded before I started messing around with it a little bit. As you can see, the only thing I did here, have one at 100% velocity and then the other one at 50% velocity. So that's way too boring. That's way too repetitive. So the next thing I ended up doing was add Looperator on it. Looperator is basically just like Effectrix. I actually went to a preset under stutter. I went down to this ultra staccato preset. I messed around with a bunch of the settings on here. The main thing you really want to do is add the reverb and reverse the hi-hats. And just from what you heard, it sounds completely different from the original. I did create a second version where I took out more of the hi-hats in the pattern itself. So these hi-hats have the same Looperator preset on there. I mainly did the second version so I could get these lower hi-hats in here, get those low rolls in there. So I knew that's something that Looperator could do, but I kind of just wanted to do it manually so I could get it like really low. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the beat. Only thing I think I had on the master was like a soft clipper and an EQ. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you guys learned something. If you did, make sure you leave a like. Make sure you comment down below what helped you. Be on the lookout for the trench pack that's going to be coming out on Friday. It's going to have a bunch of stuff in there compared to the leaks version: accents, instrument shots, melodies, percussion loops, textures, and vocal phrases. And also on Friday, the slide trap drum kit comes out too. We're just gonna have a bunch of hard drums and sound effects in it. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it already, but my Patreon is live now. So we're gonna have Zoom classes, one-on-one sessions, and a bunch of other perks too. So click the link in the description. It should be all the way at the bottom, and you can go see what the tiers have to offer in full. And yeah, join up if you're interested. That being said, guys, catch y'all next one. Peace.